The slide is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. So after construction, I told you it's maintenance. So before maintenance, we have to know what are the distresses that's occurring both in flexible and rigid payment. So first, let us take the distresses in flexible payment. Okay. So first one regarding like surface deformation, there can be many surface deformations. First one is showing. With the picture itself, you will understand this as a formation of waves across the pavement. Okay. This occurs at severe horizontal stresses like at intersections and all. The reasons why this is occurring because of the loss in stability, if you are not compacting properly, or if the mix is like more bitumen content is there, it's not stable, or even if the underlying layer is not also good, then this shoving can occur. Okay. So either as part of rectifying it, or as remedial measures, or if some repair works have to be done, you may have to mill it, then relay the entire surface where the shoving is there. Okay. So most of these remedial measures are more or less same. That's why I haven't included. So this corrugation width, it's a formation of transverse ridges and valleys or ripples occurring at regular intervals. This occurs mostly in traffic where traffic starts and stops, like bus stops and all. No? So these places you can see these corrugations. Rutting is a common artist phenomenon, or even rutting is very important. This one, while we were designing the flexible payment, one of the important distress parameter what we have to consider is the rutting. There are a lot many rutting equations. Okay, so the rutting means this is a channelized or surface depressions in the wheel track. Wheel track, so some longitudinal the depression that is occurring along the wheel path. Depressions can occur at any place, but which is along the wheel path, okay, parallel to the center line. That's called the rutting, and it will be too much evident when it's during rainy season, when this rutting this is filled by water. This rutting also it cause either maybe due to the insufficient compaction of the top layer or sufficient stability of the layers. Not only due to top layer, say even if you are compacted the top layer properly, but you did contact the base or sub-base layer, the rutting occurs in the lowest layer, even in the subgrade, this will get reflected in the upper layer because it's a flexible payment. So that's a definition of the flexible. No? What are the deformations of distress if it's there? Surely it will get reflected in the upper layer. So please, so that's the reason why you have to compact or see the properties of the lower layers also. This depression, this is surface areas with slightly lower elevations than the surrounding pavement in the figure itself. So some areas or some localized areas alone, it will be slightly in the lower elevation, but those materials will be there. Okay, there are potholes also. I'll tell the difference here. The material is not it is removed. That material is there, but the elevation alone is slightly lower. And these are the surface deformations. Some surface defects like bleeding and flushing. See, if you are using like more bitumen content, if your mix is beyond the bitumen content what is needed, then in that case this bleeding can occur. Like the bitumen will come out of the surface. This will form a shiny glass-like reflecting surface, so which will cause a thin, sticky bituminous layer. So this will cause a loss of skid resistance, especially when during wet or when it is in wet condition. Then the excess bitumen will come out of the pavement. Next is raveling. Raveling is separation of separation of aggregate particles in a pavement from the surface downward or from the edges inward. Separation of aggregate. You can see this aggregates materials are there. This may be if your bituminous mix is devoid of bitumen, no proper bitumen content is there, or in presence of water if the bitumen stripping off is happening to bitumen, this raveling will occur. Okay, that's a separation of aggregate particles in a pavement from the surface. Next one, it's polishing. It's a surface consisting of rough exposed aggregates. You can see the aggregates are exposed. This thing, and also it will get either rough or polished over the period of time. This due to the improper, you have to check for the properties of the aggregates. Check for the polishing value of the aggregate. If not, then this defect will occur. And there is surface lifting like seal break or upheaval. This upward movement in the pavement or at some portion, some portion of the pavement itself, the upward movement is there. Okay, lifting or upward movement. This water bleeding and pumping. This water seeps out of either through joints or cracks, or if your mix is excessive porous, then the water will come out of the less. Along with the water, like if some fine particles also can come out. Okay, that's called plumbing, right? Some fine particles either from the subgrade or from the mixes also can also come out. So this will decrease the skid resistance, and also this will decrease the structural support. Then there are many cracks in the pavement which you can see commonly, right? The fatty, alligator and crocodile crack, which also you have seen models while designing the rigid or flexible pavement. So load, these fatty or alligator, these are loader. Cracks can occur either due to the load or due to the temperature variation, shrinkage or wet and freeze and thaw, etc. Okay, many conditions. So what is occurring due to load is fatigue, alligator or crocodile cracking. So load associated structural failure cracks allow moisture infiltration, roughness will increase and may further. If you are not looking or if you are not repairing this, what will happen is after some time the entire material itself will go. So in that case, it will form potholes. Okay. So repeated loading, the longitudinal cracks connect forming many-sided sharp angled piece like crocodile. That's why it's called crocodile cracking. This is occurring due to repeated application of load. If you are applying this load repeatedly for many times, then this failure or cracks can occur. The next is block cracking. These are large rectangle interconnected cracks. It's not due to load associated, but generally this occur due to the shrinkage of asphalt pavement. Okay, it's a large like interconnected rectangles. It will be like longitudinal cracks. This longitudinal cracks that are parallel to the pavement center line. It's along the pavement center line, longitudinal to that cracks will develop. Suppose if you are not providing any overlay, say half of the road you have constructed in one stretch, other half in other stretch, if proper bonding is not there, or it's some extra some widening of the roads you have done, if the proper bonding or joining is not provided, then this entire cracks will develop. These are some of the reasons for that. Then transverse or thermal cracking, which is perpendicular to the pavement center line. This induced by the daily temperature cycles or due to the poor constructions, this thermal or transverse cracking can occur. This edge cracks, edge breaks or edge drop off. This edge cracks travel along the inside edge of the pavement surface within 1 or 2 feet. You can see cracks on the pavement edges alone. Say if you are not compacting, many problem with here is sometimes either your compactor or roller it might not be possible to reach on the edges and all. Okay, either it is either due to some boundary conditions or due to like vegetations or like there are limit no all paver or this thing there's a width is limited. Okay, so it might be difficult to compact it. That might be one thing. Then if you're not looking into the shoulders properly or if more vegetation is there, then these cracks will occur. Then these are crescent or parabolic or slippage shear cracks. The slippage cracks are crescent shaped cracks or tears in the surface layers of asphalt where the new material has slipped over the underlying core. Suppose if you are providing, example what I can tell is if you are providing a new overlay, if you are providing a new surface or an overlay over the existing surface, if we are not providing sufficient tack coat is not provided, so if bonding is not there between the two layers, the entire material will strip off and this entire material will come off also. Or if it is not compacted properly also, this shear cracks or this crescent or parabolic or slippage cracks can occur. Next is patching and potholes. This patching, this I'll tell this potholes first. So potholes we mentioned depressions. Depressions means the elevation of the road is lower than the surrounding or nearby elevation. This pothole means from that depression it is also slightly lower, but the material also have removed. Okay, these are small bowl-shaped depressions in the pavement surface that penetrate all the way through the asphalt layer down to the B1. It will just penetrate to the lower layers also. So what as a repair purpose, see for many or repairing of many of this you are doing the patchwork. Okay, whatever good you are doing the patchwork, even that itself is a it is defect or distress. No, it won't you won't feel like riding smoothly if many patchworks are done. Okay, even though it's a part of the repair. Okay. So an area of pavement that has been replaced with new material to repair the existing pavement. So a patch is considered a defect no matter how well it performs. It might last for long or it might serve its purpose if you're filling the potholes. No, it is served its purpose, but even then you'll have roughness and discomfort will be there. Okay. So those are the rigid pavement distresses. For a flexible pavement, showing mean this a formation of waves across the pavement. Corrugations mean these are transverse ridges and valleys or ripples occurring at regular intervals. Rutting is longitudinal depression along the wheel path. Depressions if the surface with slightly lower elevation than the surrounding. Bleeding or flushing is a shiny glass-like reflecting surface with thin sticky bituminous layer. Raveling, okay, the separation of aggregate particles. Polishing, your surface consists of rough exposed aggregates. Surface lifting, seal break or upheaval is the upward movement of the pavement. Water bleeding and pumping through the joints or cracks along with the water. If a fine particle or materials is removed, then it's called pumping. Cracks, fatigue, alligator and crocodile crack is associated with the repeated application of loads. Block cracking is not due to load associated but generally caused with shrinkage of the bituminous material. Then longitudinal cracking, these are cracks that are parallel to the pavement center line. Transverse or thermal cracking perpendicular to the pavement center line due to the daily temperature cycles and poor construction. Edge cracks during the edge of the pavement, either if it is not compacted properly or due to vegetation and poor shoulder condition. Crescent, parabolic or slippage or shear cracks. These are when the new material has slipped over the underlying, that is suppose if proper bonding is not there or if the material is very loose. Then patchwork, it's an area of pavement that has been replaced with new material. Pothole is a small bowl-shaped depressions in the pavement surface. So these are the distresses that's occurring in with respect to bituminous or flexible pavement. Okay. So what are the distresses in rigid pavement? Western blow up or it's called buckling. Okay, but this is a localized upward slab movement and shattering at a joint or a crack. Okay, you can see these two slabs are moved up. This usually occurs in summer or spring as a result of insufficient room for the expansion during hot weather. See, if you're not providing sufficient gap in the joints, okay, so what will happen during summer season? The slabs will get expand. So if sufficient space is not there, the entire slab will move up. Okay, upheaval of the these slabs. That's called blow up or buckling. Corner breaks, a crack that intersects the PCC, plain cement concrete slab joints near the corner. Okay, near the corner, you can see the corner test breaks. Durability or decracking means this is a series of closely spaced crescent shaped cracks near a joint, corner or crack. Okay, this is caused by a frequent freezing or freezing and thawing expansion of the large aggregate within the PCC. Due to this durability cracking will occur. You can see a series of closely spaced crescent shaped when especially near the joints, not may not be in other parts, but near the joints or this corner and all, you can see these type of durability cracking. Faulting means a difference in elevation across the joint or crack, usually associated with undeveloped joints and all. Okay, so this usually say you can see here that is joints are there, and if like if you are not providing double bars, okay, if you are not providing at least double bars, then what will happen? There can be the difference in elevation, or some one slab may go down or that. So there's no load transfer between the two slabs. Okay, so difference in elevation will be there. When if it is very it is more, then you have to do the diamond grinding to make out this elevation difference. This is a faulting from the ground surface. There's a joint load transfer system, that is deterioration. I mentioned like this double bars are for transfer the load from one slab to another due to many defects like transverse crack or corner break developed as a result of joint doubles. Okay, if the load transfer is not proper, or if you are not providing the cap properly, in that case, or if it is rusted like proper movement of the double bars is not happening, because double bar in one slab it should be fixed and other slab it should be free to move. So you should provide sufficient free the sheathing or coating above the it is double bar such that it is free to move. If it is not done, or due to rusting or corrosion, this can occur. Okay, proper load transfer won't be there, so this is a defect. Then linear or panel cracking, these are linear cracks not associated with corner breaks or blobs that extend across the entire slab. The entire slab itself in some location it might have broken. That's a linear crack. Patching is an area of pavement that has been replaced with new material to repair the existing this pavement. Okay, in patching also sometimes if some artist repair ways you can do the patching, otherwise is for like for service line, either for telephone or other for at least cable line or water or sewerage and all. Many times you may have to disturb the pavement. No, you may have to dig the trenches and all. So in that case, after that patchwork have to be done. It's a polished aggregate. So areas of PCC pavement where the portion of aggregate on the surface contains few or rough or angular aggregate particles. No, polishing of the aggregate. And pop-outs. Pop-outs mean small piece of this concrete that break loose from the existing surface, and this will come out. Okay, small divots or pock marks will be there. Not it's maybe in some localized area, small particles alone will that is come out. Pumping, this ejection of material from the along with the water. Some you can see the fine particles above the surface. So ejection of the material from the underneath of the slab as a result of water pressure is called pumping. Okay, during rainy season, water will be there, and even after raining also, due to application of load, whatever the water which was there below will definitely come up due to the load. Punch out means this is a localized slab portion broken into several pieces. On that part itself, it has broken into several pieces. Then reactive aggregate distresses means pattern or map cracking on the PCC slab surface. This is caused by some aggregates will be at a very reactive, so you have to check for this also. Shrinkage cracks mean these are hairline cracks during setting and curing of the plain cement concrete. During the setting and curing process, the shrinkage cracks can occur. Okay. Then spalling, it's a cracking or breaking or chipping of joints or crack. Let's say already some crack is developed, or suppose if it's near the joints, that the breaking and chipping of the joints or the crack edges can occur. So these are the different distresses in rigid pavement. This blow up means this upward slab movement. This corner break on the corner around, lot of cracks will be there. Durability cracking. This cracks or closely spaced cracks in the shape of crescent shape in the corner or in the crack. And when the faulting, difference in elevation between and the joint between the slabs, the joint flow transfer system like double bar, there can be failure in that. Linear or panel cracking, which is associated, not associated with corner breaks, but this will extend to the entire slab width. Patching is an area of pavement that has been replaced with new material to repair the existing surface, existing defect. Polished aggregate and areas of PCC where the portion of aggregate on surface can very few or angular this aggregate, then pop out small piece of this concrete material that break loose from the surface, okay, leaving small divots or pock marks. Pumping, this ejection of material from the underneath of the slab as a result of water pressure. Then punch out, these are localized slab portions broken into several pieces. And if you are providing reactive aggregate, pattern of map cracking on the PCC plain cement concrete slabs can be seen. Hairline cracks or shrinkage cracks due to poor setting and curing. Then spalling, there's a cracking, breaking or chipping of joints or crack edges. Okay, so these are the various distresses. Okay, so there we have seen the distresses. Next comes the maintenance part or management part. This payment management, of course, we have seen the distresses. There are different type of distresses, either both in flexible and rigid payment. Suppose you want to, you're supposed to actually, whenever you're designing, you are designing the payment say for 10 years, 15. If it is rigid payment, maybe for 30 or 40 years. But never ever this payments won't last for with so many years without any some defect or some cracks or some other potholes or rutting or any other defects might be there. So you have to maintain these payments. The problem with the developing countries and all is that we have lot of payments where maintenance is warranted or we have to do the maintenance. Our budget is limited. It might not be possible if one at a sudden one night, if I'm telling you just maintain all the roads such that the payment condition index value is 100 or more than that, that is not possible. Okay, because we have lot many payments are there, and like the difference is varied also. Okay, you can't have a generalized method for road 1 and 2. Sometimes road 1 might be with the CBR 10 percentage, and this road 2 might be with CBR 2 percentage. So you have to check on these properties also. Payment, so which road? So if you have like many roads are there, for which payment or which road to give the maintenance is a big question, right? You can't maintain all the roads to like in good condition. It might not be possible because our budget is limited. So how you are preferring, how you are giving this maintenance, on what basis you are choosing the maintenance treatments. Other but there are different questions arising from here. First, which road to give the maintenance, what type of maintenance, when to give. Suppose if the budget is not for now, whether it is possible to maintain the road later. 1 second, students. Okay. So there are so which road to give the maintenance, no, what type of maintenance, when to give. So there are many artist questions arising from this. If you are giving even though same maintenance, say patchwork you are giving, patchwork to one road and other road, it might not, the effectiveness will be different. So there are like based on the condition of the payment, the effectiveness of the maintenance activities also will differ. So when you're checking the performance, so you have to analyze, you have to know, I've just mentioned to you distress. So how to find or analyze this? No, you have to note the performance, whether your payment is performing or not. So generally it's called structural and functional performance. So structural performance means your payment should have enough strength to carry the load, load and all. Okay, and the stress and strain value should be within the limit. Other aspect is functional performance, where like the safety and comfort of the payment matters. Okay. So structural means it should, your payment should have enough capacity to withstand the load or vehicles coming over that. Functional performance is related to the safety and the comfort, either with respect to the roughness or with respect to the skid resistance, etc. So functional performance curve, functional. So if you are finding the riding quality in the beginning, when the moment you have constructed the road, it will be in very good condition, a quality will be, ride quality will be very good. But over the period, what is happening? It's keep on decreasing. And similarly, if the traffic is also more and more, your functional performance will keep on decrease. What you have to do, if it is reaching if no right quality, if it is reaching, it will keep on decrease. If it is reaching some threshold level, it may warrant some maintenance. Some maintenance you have to do, again it will, it is deteriorate. So where to give the maintenance is very important. And similarly this will happen with structural performance curve also. The deflection, if you are finding the deflection of the payment, example structural one deflection, you can find this deflection will keep on increase with either with increase in the traffic or with the age. Okay, if it reaches beyond some limit, it may warrant some maintenance. Again, it will keep on decreasing. So structural and this functional failure can be there, and you can draw a performance curve out of that. Curve out of that. So functional means that's related to riding quality, skid resistance, surface drainage, etc. Structural one with respect to deformation, cracking, surface disintegration, that's with respect to the load associated. So there are many approaches to collect the payment condition data, like manual, semi-automatic and automatic equipments and methods are there. First, like structural evaluation. Structural evaluation, it can be found out by destructive or non-destructive testing. Destructive testing means you are disturbing the pavement surface. No, you are just either digging a core, you are somewhat disturbing the existing pavement surface. Either so destructive testing is like pouring, then you have to do the laboratory testing, excavation of pitch, check for what is the thickness of the layers and all, then you can do it using field CBR also. Structural evaluation is non-destructive testing. You are not disturbing, you are not taking the core or you are not disturbing the pavement. So this example for some of the tests in non-destructive testing is Benkelman beam, Dynaflex, road rater, falling wave deflectometer, rolling deflectometer, ground penetrating radar, etc. This is a Benkelman beam equipment where see, you require a truck for this. A truck is needed to find the rebound deflection. Actually, whatever a truck means, it's a loaded truck. At least 8170 should be the weight of the axle, rear axle load. Okay, so that it's a weight truck. So when the truck is moving, rebound deflection will occur. So you're measuring this rebound deflection under the tire of the tires, in between the tires, using Benkelman beam deflection. Okay, you just see the equipment, that procedure is different. Even this is used to find. So if the deflection is small, your pavement is weak and you require the overlay thickness to be provided, is usually based on this Benkelman beam deflection studies. Falling weight deflectometer. This an see this Benkelman beam deflectometer. These are static devices. Right, you at a point you just find what is the deflections. Falling weight deflectometer is more accurate than, but it's very tedious and also the equipment is very costly. This is a closer view of finding the falling wave deflectometer. Then ground penetrating radar, you have the application in test X-rays also. Okay. See here, in this ground penetrating test radar, in test geotechnics. See what the problem is, that you can find GPR transmitting. If you have inflexible, you have different layers. When the waves are transmitting to different layers, it's receiving, depending on the type of the material, the frequency, no, the frequency and the dampness of the granular material is different, and then other materials are different. Depending on that, you can identify what are the different layers inside, what are the thickness of the layers, etc. There's more application in geotechniques also. It's a plate load test where you can conduct it in the lab. You are applying the load and finding what is the this deformation that's occurring. Then functional, so those are the structural evaluation. Functional evaluation, like roughness, mainly roughness and skid resistance. So roughness can be found out simply by straight edge. Okay, straight edge like this. If you are just keeping it here, if it is level, no, you can see there is no roughness. Or if a wedge, if it is able to pass through, depending on the height, the difference you can see. Then other is, this is a multi-wheel profilometer. Your entire profile of the road can be found out from this. This is static equipment, like in survey used to do the level and road. So no, at different levels you can just find out. They said stick at a profiler to find the profile of the road. It's a rolling straight edge. No apparatus which is approximately 3 meter long and 25 centimeter wide. It's fitted in aluminium frame. This again will give you the profile of the road or the roughness of the road. This is a Merlin for roughness measurement. Merlin means a machine for evaluating Even roughness using low cost equipment as a cycle, you have to tow it over the road. Then some readings, you can see a graph sheet here, can just some markings have to be made on the sheets depending on this is a prop, you can see below this. Okay, so this will measure the roughness. This is a fifth wheel bump integrator, again for to find the artist irregularities in the profile. Then this a transverse profile logger which is fitted with the vehicles, automatically this will record. This is a road measurement data acquisition system, ROMDOS. This is an equipment where automatically you can connect and you can find the distresses of the payment. It will connect. About this you can see video cameras are there. Then it is the yellow one. This is the profile meter. This is fitted with a GPS. Okay, so when the vehicle is going, it can track the path and also will give you the distress automatically. This is a raphometer which is attached to the vehicle. Again, raphometer means this is fitted to the axle of the vehicle. Okay, axle of the vehicles. Then a distance measuring instrument also it is there, which is fitted to the wheels, and you can see a GPS also. So whenever the vehicle is moving, if your road is smooth, there will be a very less jerk will be there. If there are lot of undulations, then the jerks will be very high, and you can read that is profile. Sensors are there. With that you can find the roughness of the road. Okay, this is the dynamic skid resistance tester which can be done in the road. This is a portable skid resistance tester. Okay, either in the lab or in the field also you can to find the skid resistance of any to surface. You can find out this a polished stone value apparatus, and all these distresses you can find automatically using visual distress. You can see a lot of cameras are there where, so it will just record the cameras at some angle or height, then you can process it and get the distresses. Okay, this automatic visual distress survey, say right of a vertical pavement view. You can process this image and get whether it is what is the area of patching. You can get the area length of crack, width of crack, and depth. It's somewhat tedious, but either with 2 or 3 cameras you can get the depth of the crack also. Okay, this I'll take in next class. Any doubt?